presidential friend Vernon Jordan. Vernon Jordan and Drew concessions that they hope may bolster their case for live witnesses at the impeachment trial. Jordan asserted again in testimony that the president was directly behind his efforts to find Monica Lewinsky a job, but the effort was never designed to buy her silence. Well, why would the President of the United States ask anybody to find, an intern a job if it wasn't driven by something? Just random thought there. U.S. jets bomb Iraq missile launchers. We're doing that now on a daily basis. So we did it again Tuesday. We attacked Iraqi anti-ship missile launchers. And you would think the Iraqis would be getting sick of that. In other words, the Iraqis are not actually attacking us. They're simply turning on radars. And how would you like... We have these they're called HARM missiles. Good name, huh? And what they do is they lock onto a radar signal, and then they go and destroy the building and the dish and everything concerned with the radar. Kaboom! And, if you were an Iraqi, you'd have to think 10 times before you push the on button on the to irradiate an object with radar, knowing that what you're going to get back for your efforts is going to be a big bang. So, you can almost, I know there's nothing humorous about it, but you can almost picture in your mind's eye these Iraqis pushing the button and then getting the hell out of the building. I don't know. Maybe they're just doing that to mess with us. Abortion foes who created wanted posters and a website listing the names and addresses of, quote, baby butchers, end quote, were ordered to pay $107 million in damages by a federal jury Tuesday. Oh, my. Oh, my, oh, my. $107 million. Well, guess that site won't be up for a while. People who have taken 2 kinds of common antibiotics are less likely to suffer heart attacks. It is now been determined, according to a study, that bolsters the tantalizing theory that infections, get this, may be an important cause of heart disease. Oh, boy. Infections, huh? That is really interesting, heart disease. And once again, earlier today I talked to my boss, Alan Corbett. Alan and I have worked together now for a lot of years. And he said, Art, I went to get a haircut today to my barber. And there was a sign on the door that says closed. Now, bear in mind, this man is the picture of health. 52 years old. Does nothing but go hunting all the time. Hiking through the woods. And so I guess he asked somebody nearby what happened. And they said, you didn't know he died yesterday. Just dropped dead. They don't have the coroner's report yet, but it seems like I've been seeing a lot of that lately. People my age and younger just dropping dead like flies. And then there's another thing that I've noticed, and that is that a lot of these people have really healthy lifestyles. I mean, some of them are vegetarian, some of them hike and press hundreds of pounds every day, and they exercise, and they go, they do this and they do everything, and they just drop dead. And there's been a lot of that going on lately. I don't know. Well, here it is. Look, I've got about 10 stories on this. Russians may turn night into day. I'm not the only one using that phrase, even though that is not what it is yet. The crew of the Russian space station Mir will stage what it hopes is going to be a spectacular experiment Thursday using a huge mirror to reflect a beam of sunlight back to Earth. The Banner experiment envisions unfolding a space mirror made of a membrane covered by a metal layer. In theory, the mirror is to work kind of like the moon, reflecting sunlight on Europe and North America. That would be us. according to the Mission Control spokesperson. Who the hell gave them permission to do this to us? I'd like to know. The mirror, about 25 meters in diameter, would serve simply as a prototype for even larger models. This is where it gets important. That one day may be used to eliminate sun-starved northern cities. They also may turn into solar sails. If the sky is clear, this small little experiment would resemble a shooting star racing quickly across the sky. Clouds, however, would make it invisible. So this is just sort of a little, let's see if we put a mirror up there, let's see if we can see it from Earth kind of experiment. If it works, then they're going to put up the big guys, hundreds of them. And my comment is just saying, yet. I like my nighttime, and I'm not ready to lose it. A small, their words, meteor streaked across the western sky yesterday morning, startling people from San Francisco to Las Vegas, more than 400 miles away. It was bright blue, and one caller said, absolutely fantastic, KCBS. Many others reported on it. People called the police. The object, according to scientists, was probably a fireball or bolide. That's the director of the Cabot Observatory Science Center in Oakland, who goes on, from the description, I would say it was simply a small meteorite that entered the atmosphere. Said he, it's not unusual, but it was clear last night, and so a lot of people saw it. Which may be a perfectly proper explanation, but, you know, it's the only one ever given. And my question remains, how the hell do they know it was a meteorite until somebody goes and finds what fell? You know, they ought to say something entered the Earth's atmosphere or streaked into the Earth's atmosphere, rather than saying it was a meteorite. Fireballs, all the rest of it. Meteorites, bolides, maybe. Maybe not. Show me the rock. Where's the meat? You know, that sort of thing. Anyway, I had an awful lot of faxes about whatever this was that went streaking across the atmosphere. Lawrence Livermore and the Joint Institute for Nuclear Research in Russia have announced they have made element 114. It has been done, folks, with 184 neutrons, one atom, after 4 months of calcium bombardment of a plutonium target. Not exactly a thimble full, and it had an apparent half-life of about 30 minutes, much longer than the half-life of element 105, 106, and so forth. Somewhere near the island of stability, so in other words, as they continue to go up, they're reaching not less, but more stable elements. And there were those who said, here's the table of elements, and that's all there is to it. Well, guess what? They're coming up now with new elements, and they're getting closer and closer to what Bob Lazar described as, you'll recall, element 15, used in the saucers that he got to inspect at Area 51, right? So now we're at 114, and it is more stable. Follows 115 would be yet more stable, and so forth and so on. What lies ahead, you can only guess. Is it a sad day? It is official now. Ships at sea will no longer use Morse code to signal distress. They have all changed to a GPS-based system. When you consider Y2K, you've got to wonder if this is really a cool idea. So, very, very interesting. SOS is no longer going to be, you know, in a way that really is kind of sad. I mean, what replaces SOS? I guess somebody talking into a satellite phone saying, get me the hell out of here. I don't know. But it is now officially replaced, they say. Who does something like that anyway? I mean, who decides things like this? That all of a sudden SOS is no longer going to be the distress signal. It just, I don't even know why I'm nostalgic for it. I've never sent an SOS, but I've always thought if I heard one, I certainly would know what to do. And now there's not going to be any more SOS. I know what SOS meant in the Air Force, and it was lousy, and it was for breakfast. And I can't repeat it here, but, you know, the Save Our Souls thing from the sea, I'm sorry to see that go, and I don't know why. NBC News has learned that the CDC in Atlanta has placed, this will kill you, no pun intended, has placed smallpox at the top of their list of potential biological agents of mass destruction. U.S. intelligence officials conceding they have very little either way cite Russian intelligence reports that concluded North Korea and possibly other former Soviet client states were now conducting experimental research into using smallpox as a weapon, and we no longer have any vaccine against smallpox either. Oh, well, isn't that just great? So there you have it. That is sort of a summary of what's going on. Pretty weird stuff streaking through our skies. The Russians getting ready to unfold their mirror on Thursday. And smallpox is about to be used as a weapon as we meet up with element 114. Strange times, huh? Okay, tomorrow night, Richard Hoagland, though I don't have the information and phone numbers yet, they're going to send it to me. They always do that at the last minute. Richard C. Hoagland and Ghost Wolf and Company, and I understand they may well dig up, pun intended, an archaeologist who's been working on the Miami Circle so that we can hear expert opinion on what it is that we're trying so desperately to protect. And I might add, with some success, thank you all. Then the following night, Dr. Jeff Long and Tricia McGill are going to be my guests, and they're going to tackle a topic that nobody tackles. You've heard a lot about near-death experiences, right? Usually good. Oh, look at the light. There's Dad, there's Mom. It's heaven. Well, they're going to be here talking about not the white light and the relatives and the welcome to paradise. They're going to be talking about what happens when the opposite occurs. And Dr. Long has been there. He'll tell you about it. So, I guess you might call them NHEs, near-hell experiences. I don't know. I think an interesting topic, though. And then Friday night, Saturday morning, Brad Steiger is going to be here. We've got a big announcement for you. If you're on my webpage, you can probably scroll down to Brad's name and learn the secret ahead of time. Otherwise, you'll have to wait. Let me see. There is one other little item regarding what we call Miami Stonehenge, or what may be the American Stonehenge in Miami. There are some new listener-supplied photographs on the website tonight. If you would like to go and take a look, you're welcome to. So, with all that in mind, to the phones we go. First-time caller line, you are on the air. Hello. Hello.
Hi, I'm just calling to see if Art's done a show before on the Chinese weapon that they have to blind people with.
Are you referring to lasers?
Yeah, the lasers that they have. I hear they have it on the open market now.
Well, you can buy lasers. Generally, yeah, a laser could do damage to you. You can buy one on the open market.
I hear though that they have for the PLA they have like a really heavy, expensive one that they use. But not only that, they're selling one.
Well, yeah, I can even tell you that there was a U.S. aircraft that was purportedly, as a matter of fact, the co-pilot and the pilot both had some damage to their retinas.
Okay.
As a result of not the Chinese, but the Russians doing that kind of a test. So,
yes. I hear the Israelis, they might have something to do with it, or they had the technology before that. But what I hear is they got a 4.3 meter mirror that they're putting in one of their so-called observatories or whatever, and supposedly they're going to use this as not only an offensive but like a defensive type thing too. They can shoot it at one of our satellites or anything, and it can like totally, or even one of our missiles. I guess it malfunctions its system.
Well, look, that's out on the edge. I saw one test in which the U.S. with a laser destroyed a missile in flight, but it was all planned and it was a close-in shot. Now, lasers degrade in the atmosphere the way anything else would do.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I'm prepared to believe that we've got something that can destroy a satellite of that sort from the ground, or worse yet, the other way around, if you could imagine something from space zapping Earth. Although I have at times wondered if, and you've got to think about it, crop circles could be created by an experimental weapon of
800-893-0903. If you're a first-time caller, call Art at 702-727-1222. From east of the Rockies, 1-800-825-5033. West of the Rockies, including Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico, call Art at 1-800-618-8255. Or call Art on the wildcard line at area code 702-727-1295. This is Coast to Coast AM from the Kingdom of Nye.
Soon we'll have new bumpers from Ross Mitchell, because they're changing my area code. Keep changing every number we have before it's all over and replacing them with you-know-what. If you were going to hide your assets and disappear, where would you go? You ever thought about that? I mean, if you were to just, whatever your situation is, say, that's it, I'm out of here, I'm going to be a new person in a new place where nobody knows me, and I'm out of here. You know, a lot of people have done that. Now, if you're curious about how you can do it, I've got a guest coming up who's going to tell you, I guess. That's the name of the book, Hide Your Assets and Disappear. I'm really, really, really curious about this topic. I had always thought maybe a South Pacific island, maybe Tahiti. I have this, we're heard in Tahiti, thanks to KHVH in Honolulu, that just go blasting across the salt water. And I get these wonderful letters from friends in Tahiti who listen to the show. And they've always got these exotic native dancing girls. Oh, the postcards. And, you know, it's sort of a dream that you dream. A sunny, warm, tropical South Pacific island. Vacation time, maybe. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Tally-ho.
How you doing, Art?
Okay.
This is John. I'm in Ohio.
Hi, John.
I was just reading the newspaper here,
Yes.
and I don't know if you know about this. I just came across the Y2K hotline.
Oh, yes.
Federal government?
Yep, they have a number.
Okay.
They have a number now. That's
Did you ever
right.
get a hold of that tree guy that sits up in the trees?
You know what? They just finally sent me a fax today, and I've got to digest it. I really wanted to talk to the guy who was 200 feet up.
Yeah, that's what I was interested in.
Me too.
What would you do up there?
Be very careful for
I
spiders.
don't think I'd park underneath there.
You know, how do you sleep up there? You've got to wonder about that. And then, of course, you've also got to wonder how you do what else you've got to do up there.
That's why I don't think I'd park underneath him anywhere. When I see him.
Close, no.
Also...
You imagine something at 200 feet. I mean, you wouldn't quite hit terminal velocity, but first-time callers, area 702-727-1222. Oh, sometime soon, I presume.
Yeah, it's been a while. It seems like since I've heard him on there.
Yep. All right, sir, thank you.
Okay, that's all I need. Thanks.
Yep, you take care, and have a good morning. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Oh, I hate when you bleep out the good parts like that when the guy's talking about the tree art.
Oh, well.
Serious.
Well.
Anyway, this is
turn your radio off, dear.
Oh, I killed it. I had to walk across the camp. I'm sitting there feeding this wood stove. It's freezing up here.
Up where?
In Kinnick, Alaska.
Kinnick.
Yeah, this is lady.
Yeah, I've been hearing about, they reached a wind chill of 100 degrees below zero the other day in, I guess, interior Alaska. And that's 100 degrees below zero. That's what, like 30 seconds for flesh turning to stone?
Like liquid oxygen.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
So what are your temperatures? What have you reached for a low so far this year?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you. I don't even want to think about it.
Give me a guess.
You know, you sit there talking commercials how you left here and went to the desert.
I know. Give me a
Tell
guess.
us about it.
Give me a guess.
I don't know, maybe 34 below
34?
over here. Yeah, because I'm over by the inlet.
I saw 47 below outside Anchorage one year.
Yeah, I know.
It's like when your tires start getting square in the morning and, but see, I completely rejected the cold. I had a heater in the oil pan, in the water, in the interior of the car. I had everything heated. I must have used more electricity when I lived up there than half of what comes out of Boulder Dam.
Well, I found a woman's best friend up here is a hairdryer and electric blanket. Seriously, it'd be a $3 night, but I don't do pets, you know?
Yeah, I
no
hear
kids, no pets. Art, this ain't why I called you.
All right.
Okay, the other night I tried to get through when you had Ed Dames on there.
Yes.
And you remember how he was sitting there and he was talking about when he was doing that remote viewing, how he knew that Lucifer was watching him?
Yes.
Okay, well, what I was thinking about, well, being he's the father of lies, okay?
Lucifer.
Being he knows that he's being remote reviewed, wouldn't he want to, like, put that out there and make it look like he's just a little baby conceived in maggots laying in a ditch when he's actually, you know? And then you did that Antichrist line,
Yeah.
which means the spirit of Antichrist is what, already in the world? You proved that, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the way that I'm looking about it is I thought maybe somebody's calling from your international line. You know, you got that son Bin Laden, you know, he's from the line of Ishmael.
Yep.
And then what you got Juan Carlos, the king of Spain.
If I were to open a Bin Laden line, I would get, I'll bet you, an entire string. If I had time tonight, I'd prove it to you. I'd get all kinds of Bin Ladens.
Well, you know how Clinton had, like the country ain't gonna take him down because the economy's good. You know, people ain't gonna judge him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Mr. Babylon's gonna get judged.
All right. Well, I appreciate the call. Thank you. I don't know. It's not the country. It's not the people that want Bill Clinton taken down. It's the Republican majority in the Senate and House. Whether you like it or not, I do believe the polls. I hear people screeching on the air all the time. I don't believe the polls. I don't believe them. Well, they're generally right. About 75% of the people just want this over with. And they're going to drag it out for every, I was going to say ounce of a political asset they can get, but I don't think they're getting much political asset from this. They think they are, apparently. But those who are out to get the president now, I don't think are gaining any political capital from the effort. So I don't know. West of the Rockies, you are on the air. Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Bell?
That would be me, yes.
Yeah, you were talking about craft hovering over your location out there. This is Larry from California.
My location?
Well, where you live, out in the desert.
Mm-hmm. There was one that passed directly over me.
Right.
Some years ago, yes. Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you a little story. I was taking my girlfriend home at around 2 a.m. 1996 of March,
Yes.
and driving out where I live here in Thousand Oaks, looking into the sky, my girlfriend saw a craft just sitting there, but it wasn't a triangle, it was rectangular. She saw the lights below it.
Yes.
And then I did a foolish thing. I got out of the car and started flashing the lights.
Yes, that is definitely crossing into the Darwin Award category. You flash lights at the craft. Now, if this is something like out of Independence Day.
Yeah, well, I did flash it, but she got very
upset,
disturbed about it. She said, "Take me home right away."
Mm-hmm.
So So I got back in the car and we took off. We looked up again. It wasn't there anymore, but it was just sitting there.
What do you think could have happened had
What
you
do you think
continued?
could have happened?
If you had continued to flash the lights?
Well, I continued for about a minute, but nothing happened.
I understand. But if you had continued persistently, a beam would have come down and your girlfriend would have vaporized. Now, how would you have felt had that occurred?
Quite bad, but I like to.
Of course, I don't know how you felt about it, right?
We both figured probably would have been vaporized.
Possibly. All right, sir, I appreciate the call. Yes, women don't like that. I do that all the time when we go out for a walk at night. I tell Ramona, this is how you signal them. And I've got a very bright light to the world's brightest spotlight. They definitely see that. So I fool around with that all the time. Tempting fate. First time caller line, you are on the air. Hi.
Hello, big howdy doody to you, sir.
And to you, where are you?
Houston, Texas.
Houston, all right.
That's right.
I can hear the Texas in you.
Marijuana thing.
Yes, you mean the fungi that's going
Yes, I want you to know that a certain group of botanists are now working on a preventative. We have a preventative for the growing factor.
You mean an antifungal thing?
Well, that we're still we're working on things with Daconil.
Something that would eat
Daconil to try to slow it down.
something that would eat the government's fungus alive, maybe?
To keep the government's fungus. Oh, no, God, no, we wouldn't want to do that.
You would?
What we're basically working on with growers is to have a preventative of how they can grow their product.
Why not?
Having to worry
I
about.
understand. So then why not create something that kills what the government puts out there to kill the pot?
You just might be opening Pandora's box there, pal.
Well, no. Look, the door is being opened by those dispensing this thing to kill all the hemp plants. That's
Yeah.
opening the door. All this is doing is trying to pull it back shut again.
Well, Daconil does slow the process down a bit from what we gather of it, but we just can't get the.
Yeah, we lost it. Sorry about that. Your phone. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi, this is Andrew calling you from Whidbey Island.
Yes, Andrew. How are you?
Okay, we've been out of power for the last 10 hours or so, but
10 hours out of power.
yeah,
10 hours. Why?
I don't know, it was something major, and apparently Mount Vernon, which is our main power source for this whole island, was actually out of power as well, so I don't know, it was a long time, they fixed it in a half hour the first time it went out, and it was flashing last night, but
Do you have a generator? Do you have a Beijing radio? Do you have a light? What do you have?
hey, I've got my trusty, 3 LED deal, so I was set.
Oh, isn't that excellent?
Yeah, and I've got a dual fuel stove, burns gas the whole nine, and so I was fine. Had my barbecue going, so.
Good for you. More Americans are going to have to learn that they're going to face what you are now facing sometime within the next year.
Yep, that's for sure. Yeah, I thought it was weird. Actually, I went by my bank today, and after the power failed the first time, they have a backup generator, and theirs for some reason did not kick in, so they had the bank closed. And of course, the whole nine, the stoplights were out.
So, no power, no bank.
Yep.
Huh?
No banking transaction today were performed in Oak Harbor.
Again, that, of course, has us all considering Y2K. No power, no bank.
Yeah, it's amazing. No gas.
That's right.
Nobody could fill their cars. Anybody who was out of gas was out.
Yeah, Americans are really used to just doing it one way, and that way is turn on the tap, turn on the switch, stuff it down the garbage disposal, flip on the TV and the stereo and the radio and all the rest of it, and it just always works. Well, I have a feeling we're coming into a period of time where that's going to be tested quite a bit.
Yeah. Anyhow, about that picture you had up of the plant, I've seen that before a few years back on some of my plants. So.
You grow hemp plants?
I used to, yes.
And you had that kind of fungus on it?
Well, no, I mean, just that, it looked like that picture, whatever it was. I don't know what it was. was. But
Well, the person represented it to be the government's new antifungal agent that will destroy hemp plants.
yes, I was aware. I don't know. If they had it going a couple years ago, then it's a possibility. But
Knowing our government, I'm surprised they didn't start out on something simpler like daisies. I mean, kill all the daisies in the world first. Just prove you can do it.
yeah, which reminds me, by the way, the guy who was telling you about growing, the government growing, I think there are 7 people that still do get it from the government.
I believe that may be correct. That's sort of it's the remnant of a program that will close.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, my friend. Thank
Good
you.
to talk to you.
Take care. I think he's right, but it's that small. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi, my name's John.
Hi, John.
I have a question. Maybe you can help me. I do a lot of traveling, and I'm always trying to tune into your station when I'm in a different state. Is there a way of getting a list of all the radio stations?
Of course. Most networks are loath to publish their list of affiliates for some paranoid reason, but we're not.
Okay.
You can get a list of our affiliates on my website, which, by the way, is an accurate list. It's another thing we do is we print the truth. Most radio networks lie their butts off. We don't. It is an accurate list, and it is on my website. You can print it out.
Well, my problem is, because I do a lot of traveling, I don't have access to the internet.
Well, yes, you do.
I do.
Sure. Next time you go by a library, go in.
Okay.
How about that?
Well, I can do that. What's your website?
www.artbell.com.
Of course. How many times I've heard that? Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome, and take care. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Hey, Art, Jack from Tempe, Arizona.
Hi, Jack.
How's it going today?
All right, if you were to take all your assets, whatever they may be,
Right?
and disappear, Jack, where would you go?
Where would I go?
Yep.
Indiana, because I think that's where I might go if this Y2K goes down.
You'd run away to Indiana?
Yeah. Got family back there. It's a small town mentality. One interstate that goes into the town.
But, I mean, these are people you know, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of missing my point here. No, if you were to hide your assets, your money.
If I had money.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
okay.
you had money. And disappear, yes.
Would I
Just
go?
totally establish a new identity. Not to a place where you were born or something, but,
Right.
to a totally alien place on Earth.
Right in the middle of the Scientologist church someplace. And then I just do my own experiments from inside.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that is right. But I do know the Antichrist.
Personally?
No. I was watching a PBS special,
Yeah.
and they had a photo of that Benjamin Netanyahu. How the hell do you...
Benjamin Netanyahu, yes. Well, he's not, you think he's the Antichrist?
There was a picture where he was looking right at the photographer.
Well, a lot of people do that when they get their pictures taken. I mean, it's not exactly...
Right. But the look on his face...
Did you see glowing red eyes?
No. It was just cold, and it wasn't an excited look.
Calculating.
Cold,
Kind of
calculating.
like I am the one who will bring I will bring Armageddon to the world.
Hateful and powerful.
I will bring Armageddon to the world. I don't feel that.
From somewhere in the high desert, I am Art Bell. You are listening to U7 Radio. I would like to thank everyone who has kept this stream going for well over a decade. If you want to help out and maybe throw a few bucks to maintain the station, visit u7radio.org. My biggest mistake was not turning the show over to U7 Radio. Maybe we wouldn't all have to be dealing with George Norrie for all of this time. Again, that website address is u7radio.org. They thank you for your support. Stay tuned for more of me.
You are listening to 73 Radio.
Kumar Swami, that's his name, and he was apparently a friend of Father Malachi Martin's. So it should be actually very, very, very interesting. We've got all kinds of questions for him about exorcisms and entities and just all kinds of things. So Father Kumaraswamy, that's better, Kumaraswamy. Just stick with that. All right, let's look briefly at the world. Never a great pleasure, though. The ensemble drama Crash pulled off one of the biggest upsets in Academy Award history, winning Best Picture Sunday over the cowboy romance Brokeback Mountain, which had been the front-runner. Crash, featuring a huge cast and crisscrossing storylines over a chaotic 36-hour period in L.A., rode a late surge of praise that lifted it past Brokeback Mountain, a film that had won most other key Hollywood honors. Iran has threatened, in fact it did threaten on Sunday, to embark on a full-scale uranium enrichment if the UN nuclear agency presses for action over its atomic program. Now, here we're not so happy about that. A top U.S. diplomat warned the Islamic Republic of possible, quote, painful consequences, end quote. Now, when a U.S. government guy warns a country of possible painful consequences, what do you think we might mean? Comments came as the International Atomic Energies Board prepared to meet Monday to discuss referring Iran to the UN Security Council, but delegates said whatever step the Council might take would somehow stop short of sanctions. I have a feeling when we're talking about painful consequences, we're not talking about diplomacy, but I could be wrong. AT&T is doing something interesting. The government, you'll recall, came along and broke up AT&T. They said, you're too big, you're too much of a monopolistic entity, and so we are going to break you up. Well, AT&T is going to buy Bell South. Now, that's one of the baby Bells, and so looks like the Bells are getting back together. And maybe AT&T will buy them all back, and then we'll have just AT&T again, and then the government have to come along again and break them up again. Never should have broken up AT&T in the first place. In a moment, I'll tell you about some new paint. This paint is amazing. It's a nanotechnological wonder, and it might affect your cell phone. That's right, your cell phone, in a moment. Kumaraswamy, I've got to get that. This is going to be an interesting guy. He received early education in India in an Orthodox Hindu setting. But get this, then he graduated from Harvard University and went on to medical school. Then, check this out, he spent 30 years as a thoracic and cardiovascular surgeon, 30 years, retrained in psychiatry, and then in 97 was ordained by the traditional rites in the Roman Catholic Church. Wow. That's some background. A Rochester, New York company has developed paint. Now, this paint can switch between blocking cell phone signals and allowing them through. You could use this, for example, in a concert hall, allowing cell phones to work before the concert and during breaks, but during the performance, one click of the switch and none of them work. That was a quote from the president of Natural Nano. Natural Nano. I like that name. Maybe I ought to interview this guy, huh? Natural Nano. He's got a hard name to pronounce, too. Looks like Riedlinger or something. Natural Nano. That's a bit of a contradiction, isn't it? Nanotechnology is the arrangement of molecules in a specific way by man, so why would you call it natural nano? I don't know, that just caught my attention. Down in North Texas, they've got some unusual lights that are showing up. In the world of paranormal experts, they're saying there are many phenomena that can occur involving light, but one North Texas church has reported not only the appearance of orbs, but other religious manifestations. Riverwalk Fellow Church is a charismatic church in Haltom City. The services aren't exactly traditional, neither are some of the reported phenomena happening there lately. The church's senior pastor, Steve Solomon, I can pronounce that, maybe I ought to interview him, a Messianic Jew, a Jew who believes Jesus is his or her Messiah, has reported, among other things, an oil substance manifesting on the balcony and on the baptismal and the pulpit of the sanctuary. One of the church's prayer intercessors, Belva Alexander, was the first person to discover the oil when entering the sanctuary one day and simply touching one of the columns in the church. Says her initial reaction was, somebody better call the pastor, because oil don't come out of wood and brass. Alexander said when the pastor first heard about it, thought something broken, thus their investigation into the whole matter began. Solomon said as people began taking pictures of the oil, something else began to appear in the pictures. He said we'd started taking pictures at church, and almost everyone would just take a picture, and all these orbs would show up. We decided to pay a visit to the church and take our own picture. It revealed a large blue orb hovering over a woman's head as she was being prayed over. Now, that was the investigator of this story who had that bit of proof drop in her lap. Of course, I guess most of you know that Harry Brown, and I interviewed Harry Brown a couple of times as Libertarian candidate for the presidency, has passed away. I'm so sorry about that. Harry Brown was quite a guy. Now, that's kind of old news now, but I didn't want to let it pass by without saying something. Harry Brown was quite a man. Now, the following story, I'm reading for as much for my own amusement as yours. You might have heard it, I don't know. But I enjoyed it, so here it comes. Only a guy would probably do this. This was submitted by a guy who purchased his lovely wife a pocket taser for their anniversary. Well, little hint here, guys. Tasers are really cool, but you don't buy one for your wife's anniversary. Last weekend, I saw something at Larry's Pistol and Pawn Shop that sparked my interest. The occasion was our 22nd wedding anniversary, and I was looking for a little, something extra for my wife, Tony. What I came across was a 100,000-volt pocket purse-size taser. The effects of the taser were supposed to be short-lived, with no long-term adverse effect on your assailant, thus allowing her or him adequate time to retreat safety. Way cool, I thought. Long story short, I bought the device, and I brought it home. I loaded 2 AAA batteries in the darn thing and pushed the button. Nada. I was rather disappointed. I learned, however, that if I pushed the button and pressed against a metal surface at the same time, I'd get this really cool blue arc of electricity darting back and forth between the prongs. Awesome. Unfortunately, I have yet to explain to Tony what that burn spot is on the face of her microwave. Okay, so here I am at home with this new toy, thinking to myself, well, could be all that bad. Only got 2 AAA batteries, right? Little bitty things. So there I sat in my recliner. Me and my cat Gracie. Gracie looking at me intently, trusting little soul, while I was reading the directions and thinking that I really needed to try this thing out on some kind of flesh and blood moving target. I must admit I thought about zapping Gracie for just a fraction of a second and then thought better of it. She's a sweet cat. But if I was going to give this thing to my wife to protect herself against any potential mugger, well, certainly I needed some assurance that it would work as advertised. Am I wrong? So, I sat there in a pair of shorts and a tank top with my reading glasses perched delicately on the bridge of my nose, directions in one hand, taser in the other. The directions said that a 1-second burst would shock and disorient your assailant. A 2-second burst was supposed to cause muscle spasms and a major loss of bodily control. A 3-second burst would purportedly make your assailant flop on the ground like a fish out of water. Any burst longer than 3 seconds would be wasting the batteries. All the while, I'm looking at this little device, measuring about 5 inches long, less than 3/4 of an inch in circumference. Pretty cute, really, and loaded with 2 itsy little bitty AAA batteries, thinking to myself, no way. What happened next is nearly beyond description, but I will do my best. I'm sitting there alone, Gracie looking on with her head cocked to one side as if to say, don't do it, master. reasoning that a 1-second burst from such a tiny little thing couldn't hurt that bad, so I decided to give myself a 1-second burst just for the heck of it. I touched the prongs to my naked thigh, pushed the button, and holy mother, weapons of mass destruction. I'm pretty sure Jesse Ventura ran in through the side door, picked me up in the recliner, and then body slammed us both on the carpet over and over again. I vaguely recall waking up on my side in the fetal position with tears in my eyes, body soaking wet, both nipples on fire, testicles nowhere to be found, my left arm tucked under my body in the oddest position, and a lot of tingling in my legs. The cat was standing over me, making meowing sounds I've never heard before, licking my face, undoubtedly thinking to herself, "Do it again, do it again." Note, if you ever feel compelled to mug yourself with a taser, one note of caution. There is no such thing as a 1-second burst when you zap yourself. You will not let go of the thing until it is actually dislodged from your hand by a violent thrashing about on the floor. A 3-second burst would be considered conservative. Son of a... that hurt like hell. A minute or so later, I can't be sure, as time seemed to be a relative thing at that point, I collected my wits, what little I had left, sat up, and surveyed the landscape. My bent reading glasses were on the mantel of the fireplace. How in the hell did they get up there? My triceps, right thigh, and both nipples were twitching. My face felt like it had been shot up with Novocaine, and my bottom lip weighed 88 pounds. I'm still looking for my testicles. I'm offering a significant reward for their safe return. Still in shock, Tommy. Well, it is a guy kind of thing. Let's take some unscreened, random, God only knows what might be coming calls. First time caller line, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm rather well. Extinguish your radio promptly.
I will. Can you hold on?
Well, I suppose.
Why not just like 10 feet away? I'll be right back. Thanks.
Supposed to have it close. Now, see, there's a lesson, folks. Have your radio close enough to you so that you can easily reach it. Okay, very good.
Thanks very much, Mr. Bell.
You bet.
I've appreciated your service over the years.
What is your first name?
Jeremy.
All right, Jeremy, and where are you?
I'm on the west coast of Canada.
Hmm.
I have a question in relation to history.
History?
You had a female, I guess it was a professor of psychology, and she was talking about electrical fields.
I'm thinking, yes.
And in relation to walking past streetlights.
Is this that thing when you turn off street lights?
Yeah, I turn them off and on, so I'm walking past one.
Yeah, and you know, there's an explanation for that.
It meant something, and I missed the repeat.
In other words, this guest, whoever it was, said it meant something.
Yeah, about the individual that you could go and turn them on and off as you just walk by them.
I'm afraid that I missed the program, so I'm just not, there's no way I can help you.
No, it was with you.
Well, I don't remember it. I must have missed it anyway. I've over the years, sir, I've had a lot of people who claim that they turn them on and off. There's supposed to be some kind of conventional, real explanation for that, but maybe you're just weird.
It's just weird.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm afraid that's it. You're weird.
I'm weird. Well, I don't want to leave you being weird.
I appreciate your call, and if I come across somebody who tells me what it might mean, I'll be sure and pass it along to you.
Doctor somebody, and it was...
it's usually Doctor somebody.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks again, Art.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hello.
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 Hi, I was calling for Bell.
You were. Why did you want to speak with him?
Pardon me?
Why did you want to speak with him?
Well, I wanted to thank him for all the time that he spent with me here in the truck, and that letter you wrote there had my eyes just watering.
The one I just read. This is Art Bell, sir.
Yeah, I just recognize your voice.
Yeah, well,
I
I don't have a screener, so it's just like, boom, you go right on the air.
Oh, I see. I was kind of listening to the radio in my right ear, listening up, wondering on my left ear, so I didn't know it was you.
Well, you know,
Guys are-
you see, as I read that story, I kind of identified with it. I mean, a little device like that, you'd have to, like, try it out once at least.
Well, you know, what was so funny to me is as you're reading this, I picked out about 3 people that I knew that would do that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it justified why they did it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's
I-
just, you know, another experience in life.
Oh, good Lord. But anyway, thank you so much for everything you've done.
You're very
And
welcome.
like I said, I'm a driver, been a driver all my life, and I found you back in, I think in 91 or 92, and I've never tried calling in because I knew I just wouldn't make it.
Well, see, you made it. So it can happen. Thank you very much. I very much, of course, enjoy all the truckers out there, and I'll tell you, it was a lot of fun when I was RVing. And, you know, I'd get out there in the RV, and I turn on the CB radio. I'm not ashamed of it. I've got a CB radio in the RV. And, you know, you get talking to the truckers, and a very, I think, to be honest with you, more truckers, and I've said this before on the program, listen to this program as they traverse the highways and byways of America than any other radio program in existence, period. I mean, there was never a trucker out there that I could not talk to on CB who didn't know who I was and what the show was all about. Now, some of them didn't believe it was me, but that's all right. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi. Hey. Good evening. Okay, Earl, you're going to have to yell at me. You're not too loud.
Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to tell you about an interesting experience I had last week, I guess. I was kind of sitting in my chair, my house, and early in the morning, just the birds just started, it's probably about 3 a.m., birds just started chirping really kind of wild, like.
Yeah, that's a very odd time. The birds shouldn't do that until the sun begins coming up.
Yeah, it was at least 3 o'clock or so. But later on that morning, I just so happened to fall asleep in the same chair and was watching television, and a bird actually flew into the window and it made a thud sound and started flapping around, just kind of right outside. I just thought that was kind of odd.
Oh man, yeah, it is a little odd, and I'll tell you a story that I don't really know if I want to tell, but I'll tell. I don't know if I believe in these things or not, but I believe that birds are harbingers. Now, I may have told this story on the air when my father died. A little bat came and landed on our porch, and I took the little guy, and Ramona and I put him in the causeway between our house and the garage, and he recovered, and when dark came, he just flew away. It was very hot out there. That was one that happened just when my dad died. And then before we left on our trip, the last trip for Ramona, when we were on vacation, when it happened, the day before I left, a bird, I was out on the porch, and a bird, how odd is this, at night, came onto the porch, hovering basically, and came up to my face, right up to my face, and I could feel its little wings beating on my face as it hovered there. This is a wild, who knows what, a finch or what, some bird, and it just flapped right in my face. I could actually feel its wings up against my cheek, and I've kind of come to view these sorts of encounters, since that gentleman mentioned that, as being harbingers. I don't know if good, bad, but certainly of change. Listening to that commercial with regard to shopping, that was exactly right. I'd rather wait in the car. And I always did wait in the car. Now, I'm doing all my own shopping. And I have become convinced that for whatever devious reason it might be, many stores intentionally hide certain products, making it impossible for the normal person to find in the array of possible products. I mean, if you're looking for toothpaste, there will be every kind of toothpaste. Anyway, long story. First time caller line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hey, Art, how are you?
I am reasonably well.
Good, good. This is Nick from Indiana.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I wanted to let you know that you came up with something a couple months ago, and I wanted to call and tell you that you were right on. But you said that basically the reason that, we didn't hear anything about UFOs or flying saucers, or even the term flying saucer didn't come out until 1947. And you said, well, did the nuclear bomb have anything to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the one thing that is definitely constant in the universe is nuclear fusion. If you look at all the suns, most of them work off of that. Just by going out there and looking, we can see that.
Totally no question about it. I think that any planet suddenly igniting a nuke, it would be like a flashlight going on off in the dark, and if they were out there, they would say, oh, look at that, at least.
Especially an advanced race that would be able to travel outside of their system would understand how their sun works.
Yes.
So, and then here we are just detonating them like they're 4th of July, so. But that's all I wanted to say, and I just want to say thank you for all the work you do, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much for the call. Yeah, sure. It would be the one thing that would differentiate a very important point for any civilization. When that thing went off, it would absolutely be a marker. Oh, look, they've discovered element 92. Now we better pay attention. And, of course, since then, we've had endless UFO sightings. Wildcard Line, you're on the air. Good morning.
Art, so good to talk to you. Thanks for taking my call. Professor here in Columbus, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to refresh your memory about a few things. Last week with Aaron Donahue revealing that remote viewing was done with Luciferian help and demonic help. I just wanted to point out to you all those years ago when you first started interviewing Malachi Martin, the year would have been 1996. I remember where I was standing in my kitchen when Malachi Martin revealed that he had been called to the Pentagon on one of your interviews. He said that they had called him, yes, he knew about remote viewing. They had called him to the Pentagon many times to do exorcisms from what some of those chaps had got from their demonic interactions.
Well, do you recall the, well, I don't want to say debate, but discussion we had between Major Ed Ames and Malachi Martin and Father Martin?
Well, my cat just opened the door. He is so smart, Art. I don't like cats, but I'm listening to you all those years about cats. I've got a cat that can open doors, he can close doors, he'll sit down and give you his paw, and he'll talk to you.
And you still don't like cats?
I love him now. This one got changed my attitude a lot.
If I could turn up my mic volume a little bit, you'd hear my cats batting their heads against the door right now. I'm going to have to give in soon.
Well, he was crying out there, but he pushed the door open. Bless his heart. He got in. And
yeah, cats don't like closed doors.
I'm going to send you a video of all the things he can do. He does so many things. Art, I've rolled a ball to him, and he rolls it back to me sometimes. And then he's fickle. It depends on if he's in the mood. If he's in the mood, he'll come up to me, and he wants me to open all the drawers and all the doors so he can show me he can close them.
Listen, I completely understand. Mine do the same thing. One of them will play ball with me and bat the ball back to me, and I'll just, and in the bathtub. They love the bathtub. So to them, that's fun time. When I go in near the bathtub, they all line up. 5 of them, well, 4 of them anyway. All 4 line up, and they play ball. That's all there is to it. And they will run into the bathroom if they have determined that I'm in a mood to play ball with them. Cats are very, what's the right word? They're very discriminating. And I think that's why a lot of people don't have much to do with them, because they don't realize the subtle discriminating qualities of a cat. And I don't want to get into a dog versus cat thing because it's endless, but cats are rather more discriminating. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Hi.
I wanted to speak with you again. Spoke with you a whole bunch of years ago, and it was a delight then too.
Uh-huh.
So many things, but I do believe that there is a way that we can manifest a peace-oriented world. I really do. I think that we're going to be going through whatever challenges. I mean, we're in the midst of all of these challenges. We're going to go through them no matter what. There are ways, and one is it's a multifaceted thing. The first part is to first recognize and acknowledge that 500 years ago there was an invasion on this part of the earth, and I think it was not necessarily only across the seas. I think
an invasion?
an invasion.
Yeah, are you talking about an alien invasion?
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
500 years ago.
Well, you know, it certainly it came from across the seas. I mean, the people who were living here 500 years ago, and for much time before that, were people who recognized that the Earth was here, that we were interconnected with it, and they were not all perfect people either, but they recognized that there was that we have to take care of everything. Take care of it for the next 7 generations.
Well, we're not doing a real good job at the moment.
No, we're certainly not.
And with regard to peace, dear lady, a lot of people, of course, have promulgated the idea of mass consciousness directed toward peace. What I worry about, and I know this may seem silly to you, I have now concluded and firmly believe that directed mass consciousness absolutely does work, but it doesn't always work as intended. So it could be, for example, that you would want, you would study and just concentrate and go into all kinds of, we could have millions of people concentrating on peace, and then it could all get turned around on us. I mean, there could be a big nuclear war, and then there'd be peace. Pieces. All I'm trying to say is that somehow, without knowing exactly what we're doing in directing mass consciousness, I really am concerned that we would do the wrong thing. I think we need to do investigation, very heavy investigation, into this area, and then begin to tentatively explore. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Yeah, hi. I think first of all, you're absolutely right. We're not smart enough to do mass consciousness.
Not yet. Not yet.
We just are not that clever. I have a bird story.
Fire away.
Okay. I don't know, it was one morning I was sleeping and I heard this noise outside my window and it was the most god-awful. What the hell is that?
Kind of a noise, yes.
Oh my God, And it wouldn't stop. I thought, is it a rusty door? Is it, what is this? I look out and there's this goose.
A goose?
A goose.
Now that is unusual.
All right.
Yeah.
This thing is just cackling away at me, right? And it won't shut up. And I want to sleep. So I get up, I go outside, the goose, well, I was living in a trailer, so, you can hear people walking inside the trailer. The goose followed me. He was waiting in front of my front door. And I went out. And just started cooing at me. All right, and I thought, what is this?
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, my brother and I were feeding geese at a pond, and my brother got his hand too close to the goose's mouth with popcorn, and damn near took his hand off. So I'm scared of the goose, right? But before I know it, this goose has got his neck wrapped around my leg, and he's got his wing up, and he's patting me on the bottom.
Patting you on the bottom?
Yes, he is, and it's a true story. This is a true story.
So this goose just wanted a gander.
You know what? That's the truth. I found out he was widowed. The people who owned him ate his mate. And he decided that I was it. And he hung around for months and months and months and months. Followed me around. And you know what, Art? It was one of the darkest, most miserable periods of my life. And I think if it hadn't been for that goose to give me some sort of wonder and awe at life, I might not be here.
That's a remarkable story. There's something about these feathered friends of ours, some sort of something, and I haven't put it all together in my mind yet, but I'm telling you.
There's something that I've heard about called the secret language of the birds. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't. You know what? It's something that I think if I'm able to, if I can find a guest on the subject, I'll explore it.
Oh, I would love that because it's one of the most, I've done a Google on it before and it's this heavy, mystical thing, but it's fascinating.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Thank you very, very much for your call. I couldn't agree more. There is something about birds, and I don't they're harbingers. I believe they're harbingers, and not just of the negative necessarily, although that has been my experience thus far. But they're definitely harbingers. I've seen them depicted. Remember Captain Trips? They used birds in that way. A lot of movies have used birds in that way, right? International line, you're on the air. Good morning. I don't know how to push the button you are. Now you're on the air. Hi.
Good morning, Art.
Good morning.
It's Jeff calling. I live about 80 miles north of Toronto.
Welcome.
I haven't spoken with you for about a year now, but, oh, by the way, I live with 7 felines, so I completely concur with your feeling with regards to the pinball's my favorite. He just loves to sleep in the...
I wouldn't have done this, sir, except, I don't know. I'm just a soft touch.
Oh, I know. Art, the reason why I wanted to call tonight, I wanted to share with you a rather extraordinary, mysterious murder that took place either 2 weeks ago tonight or tomorrow morning in Mexico, in the Yucatan Peninsula. There was a couple who had gone down to a resort from a small town north of Toronto to celebrate their daughter's upcoming wedding, which was going to be taking place on the 22nd of February. And on the Monday morning, they were everybody had congregated for breakfast. The parents weren't there. The staff went up and found the 2 people had had their throats slit.
Wow.
Yes.
Why are you...
Well, it has now turned into a rather international incident.
I would imagine.
Because what has happened is that immediately, the damnedest thing is that nobody was questioned. The first thing that happened, the blood stains and everything that were in the hallways coming from the room were cleaned up. And the federales immediately said that there is no way that it was done by any locals, that it must have been a professional hit. People who have been down in at this resort for a previous wedding a couple of days earlier, they left and flew back here to Canada, and now we've got these 2 single moms from a place called Thunder Bay who are now being fingered as the most likely perpetrators of this hit.
All right. Well, I'm going to hold it right there because it sounds like a case that is still being, in the investigation stage, and I'm not so sure that I want to proceed with that line of a discussion. I'm very sorry to hear about that, of course. And, you do take your chances when you go to a foreign country. Americans really have to remember that other countries are a bit more dangerous than America is. Other countries don't have quite the same rights as we are used to here in America. I think a lot of Americans who have not traveled think or feel that these rights are kind of universal. Let me tell you, they're not. And you can get in an awful lot of trouble in a foreign country without any recourse as you would have here in America. So check into the laws of wherever you go. It can be dangerous. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Good morning, Art. Well, actually, it's not morning there, is it yet?
Well, that's all right. I think most of it is morning anyway. What's up, sir?
Well, I was just wondering, this is Thomas from Alaska, and when you first moved to Pahrump, did you go off-grid or anything like that?
I'm off-grid now, sir.
You are?
In other words, I have the capability to be hooked up to the grid. That's here. But, no, I'm off-grid. I've got solar and wind power.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you had mentioned that years ago when I was listening to the show one night. I'm about ready to move a hop, skip, and a jump away from you over to Flagstaff, and I was just wondering if you have any good leads on how to get started into solar and wind power.
Well, you're going to have to you're going to have to start to do some research, and the best thing you can do is get on the web.
Oh, I've been doing that quite a bit.
Yeah, and begin to investigate the cost of solar panels. Begin to investigate, be very careful when you get to the inverters you're going to use, assuming that you're going to use the power instead of selling it back. Is that correct?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So if you're going to use power, you've got to be very careful about the inverters you get. You want to get true sine wave inverters, and if you get the right ones, and I don't want to, you know, give a company name here, but if you get the right ones, you'll have better power, a more pure sine wave, better for your equipment, you know, like CD players and that kind of thing, than the power company could ever deliver to you in a million years.
Now, the sine wave, that's the nice round wave and not a square wave?
Well, a sine wave is exactly that, sir, a sine wave. But what I'm saying is the purity of the power that you'll get will exceed that which the local power company can deliver to you many times. It'll be kind of dirty. There'll be some, you know, tight interruptions very quick. That's bad for electronics. So if you get the right inverters, you will enjoy very pure power indeed. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hi. Hello?
Art.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. How's my connection, okay?
Well, so far.
Okay. A few years back, I remember it was a Thursday night, it was Wednesday night, Thanksgiving Eve, and you had on the attorney that was trying to prove that the government was involved in those triangles.
Oh, yes.
Well, I'm heading through New York City, and I'm looking up, and here is the lights coming out. It's like foggy, like maybe 100 feet, 200 feet up. It was like low visibility. The triangle's coming at me. Well, the light is coming at me, and to my right, another light is coming at me. Now, this is really weird because I'm saying this liner is very low.
Now, this is New York City?
New York City.
Okay.
I'm on 95 south going towards the Cross Bronx. That's where you slow down to about 35, 40 miles an hour.
Right.
And it was a low cloud cover. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous. I'm speaking fast. Anyways, I see this very large, this one light, and then it breaks into three. And to my right, I see another light, and I'm saying these two, whatever they are, they're going to hit. These, you know, the lights are almost intersecting.
Yes.
And the light to my right stops, and it's a helicopter, and your huge triangular shape with three lights underneath goes right underneath it. With the light shine, it's going about 30, I would say like 30 miles an hour.
Very, very much like what I saw.
And it was in, you know, New York City.
Yeah, well, that's the other odd thing, isn't it? I mean, there you've got a city full of millions and millions of people, but more so in New York than perhaps anywhere else. People don't look up, sir. If you're in New York, you know, you're looking at what's directly ahead of you. You're looking down the street. You're looking at a million different things, but you're not looking up.
And there's a lot of, this is pre-9/11, of course.
Yeah.
But this is very low, and I'm saying to myself, what is this guy doing? And then I see the other one coming towards it, and that's what caught my eye. The two lights were coming together because there's a lot of air traffic around the city. Sure. I just thought that was very strange, and of course the ironic thing is that you were speaking was, I think, Peter Gersten, his name is.
Yes, Peter.
And that was just strange. I thought I'd relate that story to you.
All right, well, I very, very much appreciate it. I mentioned earlier, in an Orthodox Hindu setting, he then, amazingly, I mean, what a change, graduated from Harvard University and then went on to medical school. He spent 30 years as a thoracic and cardiovascular surgeon. Holy mackerel. Then following his retirement from surgery, he retrained in psychiatry. He's published fairly extensively, both in the fields of medicine and theology. In '97, he was ordained by the traditional rites in the Roman Catholic Church. At present, he teaches and maintains a small practice in psychiatry, mostly dealing with problems involving the interface between religion and psychiatry. That alone should be interesting. So apparently he knew Father Malachi Martin. So in a moment, this should be quite an adventure. Father Malachi Martin became actually a close friend. Father Martin and I had many, many exchanges, not just those that were on the air, but very private exchanges. So I believe Father Kumaraswamy knew Father Martin. Is that correct? And welcome to the program.
Yes, it's very correct.
I see. Sir, Father, how long did you know him, and how did you come to know him?
Well, he called me up one day because he liked a book I had published called The Problems of the New Mass, and he invited me to lunch.
No kidding.
And we developed a close friendship after that, and I would say that we probably had lunch or dinner every other week for the last 2 to 3 years of his life.
My goodness. Then perhaps you knew him even better than I did. I want to ask you this, and you feel free not to answer, but there was some controversy regarding his passing, Father. Do you have any comments or any knowledge about that?
Well, I do have some knowledge about it. In fact, I was with him in the hospital. He said that he had been knocked down by a demon, and he hit his head, and he had a hemorrhage. He was on anticoagulants.
Right.
And he had a brain hemorrhage, from which he initially recovered, and then later had further hemorrhage, and went into coma.
That's quite a remarkable story, and I had not heard previously that he felt that he was struck down by, well,
a demon.
A demon, yes. I really had not heard that.
Now, there's something even more interesting. He called me the night that this happened, because we often spoke on the phone.
Yes, sir.
And he told me that when he said Mass that day, it was Christ who was present and said it, and not him.
That's all quite remarkable. Wow.
He was a very incredible person.
He certainly was. Did he teach you? He of course did exorcisms. I noticed that your area code 203. I think that's probably up in New England, right?
Yes, in Connecticut.
In Connecticut, I thought so. So you were quite close, and I wonder if he got you involved in this exorcism business that he did so much of.
Well, he did, rather. He, shortly after I was ordained, he sent me to exercise a house. And I looked at him somewhat with askance, but he said, take your ritual, and he said, charge them for it costs you to travel, and go do